Cześć! Witam Was ponownie na moim kanale Vintage Music Geek. Zapraszam Was serdecznie na drugą część mojej rozmowy z Tonym Carey'em. Z tej części mojej rozmowy z Tonem dowiecie się m.in. jaka jest geneza powstania Planet P Project, jak wspomina współpracę z legendarnym węgierskim zespołem rockowym Omega, który możecie kojarzyć m.in. z wielkiego przeboju Dziewczyna o perłowych włosach, jak wspomina współpracę ze słynnym śpiewakiem operowym José Carrerasem, czym obecnie zajmuje się Tony Carey i w jakie projekty jest zaangażowany, jak również opowiedział mi o współpracy z supergrupą przewodzoną przez węgierskiego muzyka i kompozytora Leslie Mandokiego, czyli Mandoki Soulmates. Zapraszam Was więc serdecznie na drugą odsłonę mojej rozmowy z Tonym Carey'em. Miłego oglądania.
Now, if we're talking about Planet P, yeah, I mean, that's your project that you even cannot use your face on the videos, yeah, videos.
I can now. I can
You
now.
can now.
I couldn't in the beginning
The
because
beginning. Yeah.
we had the whole reason that happened is because I was in the studio so much, writing so much music for other artists, for myself. And then I wrote a kind of a jokey, they're all sarcastic, the songs on the first Planet P album, with a science fiction theme.
Mhm.
Planet P in Robert Heinlein's science fiction book classic called Stargate Troopers, in one paragraph of the book, somebody turns to the other and says, "We're just passing Planet P." It's the only thing. It's the only thing. There's no other mention, nothing. So I said, "Great name, Planet P." There was a band called Planet Patrol. They were black and they did like disco funk. And they sued Geffen Records because they said Planet P and Planet Patrol are too close. That's why we added Project. That's why it's Planet P Project. The first edition of Planet P Project just said Planet P on it.
Mhm.
And they had to recall that and we had to change the name.
Mhm.
But I couldn't have my picture, I couldn't be in the videos, and I couldn't have my picture associated with it because I had 2 record deals, 3 at the same time
Mhm.
with major labels in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. I had Tony Carey was my deal with MCA Records. Planet P Project was my deal with Geffen Records.
Mhm.
And I also had the first label, Rockshaw Records, which had I Won't Be Home Tonight on it, and they all went to jail
Mhm.
because all the money behind Rockshaw Records had been stolen
Mhm.
from the Hughes Aircraft Company
Mhm.
by the wife of the guy that set up the label. She was the one that wrote the checks at the end of the month. She had a great job, and she stole $10 million from Hughes Aircraft Company to set up this record label. So
Mhm.
I don't own the masters to that because they're owned by the Internal Revenue Service, which is the people that collect taxes.
Mhm.
And they still own the master to I Won't Be Home Tonight album. Also on Rockstar Records was Alcatraz with Yngwie and Graham.
Mhm.
And the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire, James somebody, made a solo album. There was 3 or 4. The only one that had any success was mine, was I Won't Be Home Tonight. And then they all go to jail. So that's rock and roll.
Interesting cooperation that you made in early 80s. Omega, with Hungarian band Omega. You also.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Mackie. Mackie died maybe 2 years ago, some recently.
Mhm.
They were produced by Peter Hauke, who was in Frankfurt, and they needed lyrics because they wanted to release something in English, and they're not allowed. Hungary was an Iron Curtain Soviet Union client state, or whatever you want to call it, and
Mhm.
they were very open to censorship, or they could all go to Siberia or go to work camps or go to jail or whatever if they wrote anything critical of the government. The album's called Working,
Mhm.
and all of the lyrics are so subversive. And I thought this was just great. All of them are like completely so anti-communist that nobody ever found out. And Omega was a big band. They were playing, they'd play arenas, I think, in Hungary. And I never got any. Of course, I wouldn't get in trouble, but I never got even any mention. But every single song on that was like a "fuck you, communism" type of song, you know. And this was before the Soviet Union fell apart, and when if they had written the lyrics that I wrote, if they had sung those lyrics in Hungarian, they would have all gone to jail, you know. So that was funny. They were
Yeah.
great. They were great guys. I'd love to have had them in the studio for about a week, I think. They were fantastic guys. You know, that happens. If we get older and we're musicians, we're not bankers. We're stupid. We make a lot of money. We throw it all away. We get married 5 times, you know, stuff like that. And of course, if there's only one original member left in the band, or no original members left in the band, but somebody owns the name
Mhm.
and the name will sell tickets,
Yeah.
that's fine. Let them work. I mean, they go out and they're a cover band, of course, you know, they're not the original band, but everybody has the right to make a living with music if they can, you know. I know that Whitesnake, David wants to keep Whitesnake alive, the name, and have what's his name? Dino,
Jelusik.
the singer.
Dino Jelusik.
Yeah, yeah, him, who played keyboards, was on tour, but is a fantastic singer. He's like David, and David was one of the great singers. And I think that they're going to do a Whitesnake reunion. I know Kiss is
Mhm.
the same thing when they maybe even now they're not going to play out anymore. You know, they don't need the money. They're in their 70s. I think they're going to have new iterations of Kiss with the Kiss logo, the Kiss name, the Kiss makeup, everything that they've got trademarked. And I hope they do well. But you know, that's also only rock and roll, you know. So I hope they do well.
There are a lot of examples like that. Foreigner, for example, there is no original member. Foreigner.
Who? But who?
Foreigner. Band from
Foreigner,
the
yeah,
Foreigner, yeah. It's
yeah.
the
They have
same.
Kelly singing, right?
Kelly is not singing anymore. There is
Oh,
a
and
new
another new
singer.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, another
There
new
was
one.
a
Okay.
Mick Jones was but he is only guesting on some concert. He's not the
Yeah,
member of the band anyway. Not, he is the member of the band, but he's not
yeah.
playing with them.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So there is,
I think he's 80.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you know, what do you expect? I was always the youngest, and I'm 72, you know. Richie's 81, you know, so what, you know, it's really funny. BB King was 90 and he died soon after, but he still went on tour.
Mhm.
And people would come a big tour, like Madison Square Garden, like 20,000 people, or or smaller, but big business tours. And sometimes he wouldn't even play; he'd just talk.
Mhm.
And he had this chair he'd sit in because he was huge,
Mhm.
and he had this chair he'd sit in, and maybe he'd play two songs, then talk for a half an hour. And people in the back would be going, "Play music, you suck," and all this stuff. And other people would react like I would react is, listen, you can tell your grandchildren you saw B.B. King.
Yeah.
You didn't see B.B. King in 1958. You saw him in 2020,
Mhm.
You got your money's worth. You saw B.B. King. Shut up. If,
Yeah,
if, if
that's,
you want to hear B.B. King when he was best, then you got to go listen to old records because
yeah, exactly.
he's an old man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what do you think about musicians, bands that still performing, even if there are, I mean, maybe the quality is not the same, but they changing, for example, it- the most complicated is with the singers, I can say, because,
Yeah, of course,
yeah,
because nobody cares about the bass player. That's one. That's one. Well, it's true. Or the drummer. I mean, or the guitar player.
mhm,
The- People have an emotional response to a song that's sung. They're connecting with the singer,
yeah,
and so that's everything else is who cares, and interchangeable. I noticed that John Bon Jovi, who's a great guy,
mhm,
uh, struggled in his last. I don't know if he'll try it again, but in his last world tour, he was just awful. And
mhm,
the poor guy, you could see him trying, giving 110%. He just cannot hit the notes. It's just not there anymore. And he's not even that old. I mean, it just it's the way it worked out for him. He just can't. My voice. Uh, First of all, I can transpose anything down six keys. It doesn't matter. As long as the emotional content of the lyrics come through, I can still sing.
mhm,
I don't do, I've had a couple of huge hits here, just only in Germany. One of them is called Room with a View.
yeah, mhm,
I can't sing that. It's way too high. But I take it down three keys and sing it, and with the same emotion and the same context, and people love it. It was the number one song. People love it, and
mhm,
but John Bon Jovi, it's a six-piece band. It's a whole different thing, and guitars sound different when you tune them way down, or when you put cables on them to make them in a different key, and you have to relearn how to. It just doesn't work with a band. It works with a solo artist who maybe has a drummer and a bass player or something, but not a big rock band and rock show. And I saw. And because John Bon Jovi is John Bon Jovi, everything he sang was some idiot with his iPhone put it on YouTube, and you'd see him trying to sing "Living on a Prayer,"
mhm,
which can't be done at his age. He couldn't do it, and it really hurt my heart because, first of all, because he's such a great, generous, beautiful man,
mhm, mhm,
and he's trying his hardest,
yeah,
and he's doing the best he can and just can't get it anymore. So my opinion about that is if if it really comes to where there's no way you can compromise and get it to be acceptable, sorry, time to stop.
mhm,
But the other argument is John Bon Jovi has about 300 people working for him.
mhm,
They all have families, and he's responsible for a lot of people. And if he cancels a tour, there's all these families. How am I going to feed my family? So it's It's a tough question.
Mhm.
I thought David did so well, Coverdale, because he retired, and the tours before he retired, he couldn't sing the choruses anymore. So he would just hold up his microphone and let the room sing the choruses. I thought it was so good. Or have, what's his name, Dino?
Dina Jones.
Have Dino sing them, you know. But
I-
it was all with a sense of humor. You could tell he knew it. He's not trying to fool you. He says, sing it.
Yeah.
And 10,000 people sing it. And then
Yeah, but
finally, yeah.
I think
You go
David
ahead.
is in this comfortable situation because he still have the sound in his voice. He can even
Yeah,
record now blues album. It would
yeah,
sound perfect for his voice now, yeah?
of course.
And
Yep,
his fans
exactly.
would love it, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. But he can't go out and sing in the heat of the
Yeah,
night.
in
Yeah,
the still of the night or
yeah, or
exactly,
whatever.
you're right.
It's in the still of the night or heat of the night. Which is it?
In the still of the night.
In the still of the night, yeah. So
Yeah,
he
and
can't sing that anymore, but he's still David Coverdale. He's still one of the best singers ever, rock singers ever lived, and great.
yeah,
I thought he
exactly.
did that really well when he retired. He said,
Yeah, I even
time.
thought thinking about now the singer of Slate and Noddy
Yeah,
Holder. Noddy Holder. He
yeah,
also have this specific voice and he's singing very, I can say, in a very he this
yeah,
singer, yeah,
yeah,
Noddy
yeah,
Holder.
yeah,
He also retired, I think around 20 years ago or something like that. So
yeah,
when he was still can sing, he just
yeah,
said, okay, enough. I will do some
yeah,
other stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And there's no shame in that. It's painful to watch somebody try to be 40 years younger. I mean, it's painful.
I would like to ask about also your producer career with José Carreras. You also work
Yeah,
with this guy, yeah, with the opera singer. Yeah, that's interesting because it's not something for the rock producer to produce opera singer. Yeah, we can say.
I'm not really a rock producer. I produce
Yeah. I mean, generally you are
oh,
connect to rock. Yeah.
sure. Jose didn't sing. He spoke. It was
Oh.
a spoken album. I produced it, and it was in Catalan Spanish, which is his mother language. Like,
Mhm.
and I was living in Mallorca, where
Mhm.
they also speak Catalan Spanish. They call it Mallorquín.
Mhm.
And somebody said, and this is like there are songs with the singer, and then there's a story that's told by it's like a I didn't even know what we call it. It was like an audio book type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Mr. Senor Carreras agreed to speak. So I said, "Wow!" And we flew to Barcelona, an engineer and myself. I said, "Mr. Carreras, I'm so honored to meet you. This is great." He had cake, little cakes delivered to the studio and champagne, and he was just beautiful. He was beautiful. And one thing with his voice, I use digital tricks sometimes to make him sound like like an ogre, like a monster, and sometimes make him sound like a tulip, like a flower. And I said, Senor Carreras, you know that I'm gonna fuck your voice up when I mix this. I said, I hope you're okay with that, that you understand what we're doing. He says, just don't do my singing voice, not my singing voice. He said, do anything you want with my spoken voice, do not touch my singing voice. That was so hilarious. Just a lovely, lovely guy.
You work with Richie-san for a short time. I think it was this project Over the Rainbow. I can say you with
Oh
Jürgen.
yeah. With
Yeah,
Joe and
Joe.
Jürgen Blackmore.
exactly. It was very
And
short because you were, I think this time you were struggling with your illness
no,
and
I got sick right in the middle. As a matter of fact,
yeah,
we did a tour of Russia that did 16 shows, did really, really well. We were playing arenas. Uh, and then I got a cancer diagnosis. The doctor said, yeah. And so, I couldn't do it anymore. That's all that was, is that, I got sick. I couldn't do it anymore. So they got Paul Morris,
yeah.
who had played on one of Ritchie's, I think, last
Strangers
Rainbow
in Us
album.
All, yeah, on this album.
And but Bobby was still there around in LA, and Jürgen and Blackmore and Joe and Greg, bass
Yeah.
player, who also plays for Greg Smith, plays for Ted Nugent, and actually a lot of people. He plays with Tommy James and the Shondells in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. I think it's so funny, and it's so great for me.
How you can, it's maybe it's hard to compare son and father, but I'm wondering how it was to work with Jürgen. If you compare it to working with Ritchie. I know it was short. I mean, you played the concert with Jürgen, but anyway, can you say how the difference between these two?
Well, Jürgen's German. He's not British.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's got a British passport, but he's German. And I know Germans. And Jürgen and I were great friends right from the beginning. I'm older than he is. He's funny, a funny guy. He's a really good guitar player, really, really good. He's not Ritchie Blackmore. Nobody is. He never will be. Nobody will be. Ritchie Blackmore was invented, well, Hendrix, but Ritchie Blackmore was the best showman I ever met or saw. Hendrix, of course, but then Ritchie. And it was like night and day. I mean, Jürgen's just a nice, lovely person, and I know his wife, I know him, I know his kids, and I know his dog. It was all fine. We laughed all the time, and it was a completely different experience. You have to remember that when I worked with his father, that was the first time I ever played hard rock music or even thought about it. Blessings was more of a country band.
Yeah.
Like, remember the band America? Or Neil Young in Crazy Horse in the very, very early, like after the Gold Rush, those early albums. Blessings that got that record deal that got me to Los Angeles was more of that kind of a group. And so I never played any, hard rock or anything. But I did see, I was living in LA, it was 1974, and Deep Purple played the California Jam. And where the rainbow, Ritchie got the idea for the rainbow over the stage. And Ritchie smashed his guitar to bits and blew up his amplifiers and put way too much explosive, somebody did, in the cabinet that blew up. It blew Ian Pace's glasses off, 30 feet away. It lit, Ritchie's pants were on fire. He was dancing to put up his pants were on fire. And I thought at the time, I never even suspected I'd ever meet him or work with him. I thought, that's rock and roll. I like that. That's great.
So generally, a few years later, you work with him. You saw him on the stage, and then you haven't thought even that you were with him in the band. Yeah.
They broadcast it. It was such a big show. It was like 400,000 people. They live streamed it on TV in LA anyway. And I was living in LA, so I watched it. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
all that. But then, Deep Purple. And Deep Purple was the biggest band in the world in 1974.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what all the excitement was with Deep Purple. And I'd heard Made in Japan, I knew, it's an exciting band, but I didn't realize what a show was going on. And Ritchie was the best showman I ever saw.
After that, you play lighter music. I mean, with those in the solo albums, yes, soft rock, pop rock, not hard and heavy. So you didn't want to play that kind of music then, or
no,
just it
was
comes
never-
from your.
No, you know what I can do really well is bluff. I'm a really good bluffer. If you tell me, Richie would tell me play something that sounds like Bach, and I play him something. It's not Bach, it's bullshit, and he believed it. I knew what he was looking for because I knew Deep Purple. I knew he was looking for a really loud, aggressive Hammond organ guy, actually, to replace John. And I can do that. I could always do that. And that's a lot of fun. But I also brought synthesizers into his life. John played some synthesizers, but not very. They weren't really featured, and they weren't special. John was special on the Hammond, always, and so. But I never considered like being a hard rock guy or playing hard rock music. I can't sing that high. You got to sing high. You got to sing as high as Robert Plant or Bruce Dickinson or Ronnie Dio, or if you're going to do that kind of music. I can't do that.
Perpendicular, this band, you play on their album Venus to Vulcanos from 2017, and also Jan Pace play on it because he often cooperate with them. I mean, collaborate with them playing the concerts. How you recall this
well, Vinny, the bass player Vinny, and his brother Herb are friends of mine, and I did a lot of shows as a trio with Vinny and a drummer, and Vinny played bass, so I knew him for years, and he just called and said, "Listen, we're doing this. You want to play it?" I said, "Sure," and why not? Of course. I should have told him, "Don't put my name on the cover." Because my name's bigger than their name on the cover, which I didn't appreciate, but whatever. But I did that because they're my friends. And I know Ian will show up. They're good. I mean, they're good. They're good. So I know Ian loves to play, and he'll show up and play with them once in a while. I know that. Yeah.
Mandoki Soulmates.
Yeah.
Also, this is an interesting project that you worked with this guy, the drummer, yeah? What you can say about this?
The thinker, the drumming is not the important part. The important part is Leslie's one of my oldest friends, first of all, personally, and there are very few people in the world that would be capable of bringing giants together. I mean, in the Soulmates, we've had Jack Bruce, Greg Lake,
R.D. Meola, Mike Stern.
They're still with us. I mean, these are people keep dying.
Okay.
Bobby Kimball from Toto. We had a Spice Girl. We had Liza Minnelli. No kidding. And a real famous Italian tenor, and it wasn't Bocelli, but another one, but one of these top guys. And it's kind of we call it the band of band leaders because everybody, all of the Soulmates have their own thing, and they're wherever Randy Brecker plays with us, he's got 15 Grammys, you know. And Mike Stern's a sweetheart. Bill Evans, the world's best saxophone player who played with Miles Davis. We had Anthony Jackson, just amazing players. We had Steve Lukather. Simon Phillips played the drums on the new album. Chris Thompson sang with us for years and years.
Manfred Mann, yeah, this guy.
Yeah, Blinded by the Light, that guy.
Yeah.
And because people keep dying on us, I'm the lead singer now. And we had Midge Ure. We had all these fabulous guys, and singers, and wonderful people come and go. And I'm still around. We'll be playing in Budapest in August, and then 5 shows in Germany in the fall with Al Di Meola, Mike Stern, of John Helliwell from Supertramp, saxophone player, lovely guy. They're all great guys. But we get together, and the trick is to leave your ego at the door, because this is not about, this is my band or I make the rules. This is about, okay, here's the music we want to play. How can we play it? Not kill each other, all have fun, and be as good as we can be. And if you look at on YouTube, you'll find a lot of Mandoki's Soulmates, and you can see we're very good live. We're amazingly good live, and these are the top guys. John Lord played with us for a while, actually. Yeah.
So it's amazing how he gathers such musicians, such the big names, and he gathered them all.
And as long as it's not a pain in anybody's ass, which it's not, 99% of the time, everybody's friendly, and you know, we get together, and it's the thing we do. And Leslie's been doing it for 35 years, and I've been doing it for 23 or something years with him. I wasn't always playing keyboards. He always had like 2 or 3 keyboard players, so I didn't play. Now I play Hammond. We have a guy that plays piano, genius piano player. I play Hammond and sing lead, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hear that you have had a lot of fun with this project. So you mean you will play the concert, on August,
in Budapest. That's there. August 19 through 21 is their national holiday, where you don't want to be in Budapest. It's too full. It's too hot. It's jammed full. But we'll be there, and the concert's free. You can't. We play. Sometimes there's 60,000 people, and you know, you can't charge tickets, and even when we play shows where we sell tickets, this is like jazz rock for old men, you know, and this is so we can sell out 2,500, but we can't sell out arenas, you know. It's just too eclectic. It's like there's a reason why symphony halls are all between 1,600 and 2,000 people, because otherwise they'd never be full. There's also a reason. There's also a reason why jazz clubs, the Village Vanguard in New York, had the most classic jazz albums recorded there live. seats 123 people. And if you're in the front, you can put your legs up and rest your legs on the piano. I mean, it's tiny. It's about the size of my living room. And it's, you know, it's the Village Vanguard in New York. That's all.
Yeah. What are you up to now? I mean, are you working on some new album? Because your last album, I guess, was few years ago. Lucky
Us.
Us, yeah.
Lucky us.
This vinyl, you talk about this vinyl remastered version of Planet P, yeah. This album. But what about new music?
About to do something I've never done before. I'm about to compose music for a church in America.
Oh.
And they're going to give me lyrics. And I'm very expensive. Churches in America have lots of money. No, but just for something to do. They want me to write them melodies for their lyrics that they will. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but at least they're going to use it in their church services and whatever. So, I mean, that's interesting. I'm happy to do that. I would also like to re-release 1931, which is a Planet P album, the one right before Levittown. I would like to release that as a double vinyl LP. First, I have to find out how Levittown, how it does, if there's enough interest, because these days there's no record labels. I have a distributor. That's great. And I make most of the money. That's also great. But still, I have to pay for all the costs. And it costs 15 euros to manufacture a gatefold double LP, you know. And then 4 euros for a CD. So 1,000 LPs, 1,000 CDs, that's 20,000 euros. That's a lot of money. So if it's a success and first time on vinyl, then I got a huge catalog and I own, I think 29 albums I own. I don't have to license them from Geffen or from Universal or from anybody. They're mine. I did all the writing and I published them. I have my own publishing. And so the only thing stopping me from doing that, of course, is how much money do I want to lose? see how they sell. There's nothing that is single album length, nothing, because from about 1980, say 1990 on, every piece I've done has been way over 45 minutes, you know, 65 minutes, 75 minutes. And that's automatically double vinyl, which costs a fortune to make. The waiting list, if you order vinyl LPs from the pressing plant today, the waiting list is 5 months. So I'm gonna write some songs for this church. I'm really interested in that. I gotta have some meetings with them, see if they're more of a gospel type thing or a more solemn. I don't know yet. We've just been talking, and I'd really, really, really like to have as much of my catalog on vinyl as I could get, because there are tools now. You have to master differently for vinyl. And first thing, it's got to be, I mean, this is a technical thing, but it has to be like 6 dB. That's a unit of volume softer to be able to print it on vinyl. So everything has to be remastered. You can't just make a vinyl out of a CD. You know, you have to remaster. But they have artificial intelligence mastering tools there's a there's a lot of them, but there's a company called Isotope that make mastering software. This is like the future. If you told me this 20 years ago, I said, you're crazy. And you can I can't remix the old 2-inch tapes. I don't have the machines. I don't have the tapes. They're 40 years old, and I haven't had a tape machine since, like I said, 2005, and or a big mixing desk or all that. I just don't want it. But with this artificial intelligence aided mastering, you take a stereo track, just a file, a wave file. It can separate the drums, the bass, the vocal, the keyboards into completely clean and clear solo tracks with no artifacts or any digital noise or anything. It's just astounding. And you can make it in the remaster, you can make it radically change it. And it's so much fun because this stuff is so cool. And I like to keep right up to date on what's cutting edge in the technology. And this is cutting edge. And in fact, it's called Ozone 12 for all you engineers out there. I just got it and I recommend it. It's amazing. So what else am I doing? I'm always thinking simpler, simpler, simpler. Lucky Us was the simplest album I ever did. It's no drums and no bass really. It's a piano and an orchestra. I am thinking of live in the studio, no nothing, just piano and my voice, and releasing that, and because you can't get any simpler than that, and either. Oh, I would write some new material, but not an album's worth. I would write 3, 4 new things, and then take 10 things that are my favorite things from the last 50 years, and then record them in the campfire version. The just me, basically. So that's what I'm doing. I mean, I try to keep busy. My wife and I have a very idyllic existence. We live very, very quietly. We got a dog, got my garden, my studio's here. My wife doesn't work anymore. She's retired. And she's also 12 years younger than I am. This is great. And beautiful lady. And we're as harmonious as we can be. That's the main thing. Just keep it harmonious with no problems. I don't have very much to worry about. My health is pretty good. The cancer was completely gone. I mean, that's fixed. It was fixed 15 years ago. There's nothing. It won't come back. Can't come back. One of the things I've said this before, but I lost in my cancer fight. I lost some organs, but not the Hammond.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. But I would like to ask your listeners to do Uncle T a favor and check out Levittown on vinyl, because it really, really sounds good. I got the test pressings back. I used this miraculous mastering software to make it sound the way I wanted it to sound. I got the first test pressing. I had to buy a record player, didn't have one, and plugged it into the studio, so it sounds great. And I'm astounded by how well it translates to vinyl. It translates really well. And so I'm kind of pushing that now. And if I can sell a couple of thousand of those, I'll give you another one.